Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Women of Golf show. I'm Ted Odorico, and right alongside is, of course, Legends Tour player and LPGA professional Cindy Miller, and we are the hosts of the Women of Golf show. Welcome, Cindy, and good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. For a brisk Tuesday morning here in Florida, I know it's nothing like what's been going on in the Northeast, but we've been enjoying some 80-degree weather down here for the last little bit, and then all of a sudden it's just like the old thermometer took a nosedive, and we've been hovering in the 60s, which is still not bad, but nevertheless it's not what we've become accustomed here this winter. But anyways, enough of the weather. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Women of Golf show. And Cindy and I are excited to always bring you a very interesting show each and every week here on Tuesday mornings. Best way to find us, go to blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf, or you can just type in Women of Golf on that network, and that will take you to the main page. And on our live broadcast, which we are live every Tuesday from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will find us there right front and center on the page. But if for some reason, if you're not able to join us, not to worry. You can just scroll down that page and go to the on-demand section, and all of the previously aired shows, including today's, will be auto-recorded, and you'll find them right there in the on-demand section. So you can listen to them when it's convenient for you. For those of you that like to navigate through iTunes, go to itunes.com, and again, under the podcast section there, you can type in Women of Golf, and that will take you to the recorded broadcast there as well. Always love to hear from you, and would love to speak to those tuning into the broadcast. If you want to reach out to us during the live broadcast, you can do so by calling area code 347-945-5855. If you've got some interesting topics or comments about the show, or maybe a guest that you know of that's in the golf industry that you think you'd like to hear on the air, we would be more than happy to reach out to them and give them a personal invite. So please call in here at 347-945-5855 anytime during our live broadcasts, and we'll be more than happy to accommodate you. Or you can email either myself or Cindy. Cindy's email is cindy@cindymillergolf.com. Mine is ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. Cindy and I got a great show this morning. We're going to start things off with a discussion on points to remember regarding a good golf lessons. I've done this before on my other show, Golf Talk Live, and it was very interesting, so I just thought we would get some other perspectives on the topic as well. And then a little bit later on in the show, in probably about 30 minutes, Gianna Rojas is going to be joining us. She's known as worldwide as the one-handed lady golfer and founder of AdaptiveGolfers.org, and she'll be coming on here in about 30 minutes to talk about her story and how golf has really escalated her journey, if you will, in life. And we'll talk to her in just about 30 minutes' time. But in the meantime, Cindy, welcome. What's been happening in Cindy Miller's world?
Well, we're not sure if we're going to get out for boot camp tomorrow because of this nice big snowstorm in the Northeast. But it's not really snowing that bad here. Last week, I had the pleasure of flying to Manhattan to give a 2-hour golf lesson and fly home. And I've never done that.
Wow.
And I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, Kate Tempesta invited me to come down and help her teach her women, which I did, and flew into LaGuardia. She picked me up. We went over to the building that the simulators were in. We gave a 2-hour lesson, and I flew home, and it was great. So that's kind of neat.
Wow. Yeah, that's very, and of course, Kate Tempesta has been on the show before, and she's a great lady, works works some miracles up there in Manhattan, and yeah, that's very exciting. I like that. She's a great individual, and she certainly picked a wonderful person to partner with for that particular 2-hour event. So kudos to you, Cindy. And yeah, it's not always easy hopping on a plane and having to fly there, but when it's something fun like that, you don't mind doing it, right?
Exactly. I said, you better pick me up because I'm a hick. I don't know anything about New York City.
Well, you know what? There's always lots of shopping there. If worst case scenario, if you didn't make the lesson, there's some great shopping in Manhattan. All right, so let's jump right into. Yeah, believe me, I know. Unfortunately, my wallet's taken a ding a few times. But anyways, moving forward into another phase here. All right, let me just read this out, Cindy, and then we'll get into our discussion. As I mentioned, we're going to talk about some points to remember regarding good golf lessons. We're going to talk a little bit from our side of things. Cindy and I, of course, are both teach professionals, and also a little bit from the student side, some things that they could look for in ensuring that their lessons are meeting their needs and addressing some of the issues that maybe they might have. So let me just read this. In all golf lessons, the golf teacher professional must set some achievable goals, make progress with the student, and leave the student with a sense of accomplishment. A personable approach is important. Find or about our students and what they want to learn, etc., and be a good listener. The most successful of teaching professionals are organized, service-oriented, and understand the concept of building clientele. Teaching golf is an art and can be a very rewarding one, which we both know. But I want to ask something, and this was kind of interesting. In the very first sentence of that paragraph, in all golf lessons, the golf teacher professional must set aside or set some achievable goals in order to help make the progress for the student. I got some different answers on that, and I'm curious to see how you would approach that. Some of the answers I got was that really it should be up to the student to set their goals as to what they want, not the teacher. Do you agree with that, or what are your take on that?
Well, the first thing I ask a student is, why are you here? What do you want? I'm not going to assume I know what they're looking for. People come to us because they either want to stop shanking it or break 100. So they have they want to stop pain, or they're seeking reward. And
right.
So I ask the student what they're looking for, and then they, I can't get the ball in the air. Okay, when you leave, you will get the ball in the air. So the achievable goal that I want to give them is they're going to get what they came for. It's totally unrealistic. So I'm asking them why they're there, and if I give them what they're looking for, they will be happy, and so will I. I will have accomplished their goal, and then they will spread the word that what they wanted.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think it has to be part and parcel with both the student and the instructors. I think the student certainly should have some idea of what their goals would like to be. As you just pointed out, maybe it might be something as simple as just trying to get the ball in the air, or break 100. But at the same time, I think that we have to help them organize those goals in such a way that they're realistic too. I think sometimes people come with very unrealistic expectations. That they're wanting, that they've had years and years of some bad, thoughts or approaches to the game, and then expect a miracle in one or two lessons. And sometimes that's not always the case. I mean, certainly you can help correct a few issues, but if it's an ongoing thing that they've been dealing with for many years, it's certainly not easy. And I think it's also important too, Cindy, to be brief and keep the information as simple and direct as possible. Use obviously words that students can understand. And what I mean by that is I think sometimes some people in the profession get a little bit too technical with some of the jargon that we use, and the students that obviously may not be familiar with that are kind of left scratching their head. Do you agree with that as well, or what's your take?
Well, again, I believe it's all student-centered. So let's say somebody comes in and they have the big hook, okay, a snipe hook, and they say, well, that's what I've been doing. Well, do you want to keep doing that? I would engage the student in a conversation to help them, if you will. So pretend you're a student and you're hitting it terrible. and talk to
Mm-hmm.
me. So go ahead, try to do that.
Well, Cindy, one of the problems that I'm having is I'm constantly hooking the ball. Doesn't matter what club I use. It's just a terrible hook. I can't seem to get it straightened out, and I can get the ball in the air, but it's not for very long. It's just hook, 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 hook.
Okay, so then I would ask you, do you understand why the ball's going left? And you
Yes,
would say,
obviously my club face is closed is one issue, and also it could be dependent on the path that the club is traveling.
okay, so do you know what a square club face looks like? I want to show you what a square club face looks like. So you could start the face square,
Mm-hmm.
and then open it on the way back and flip it over.
Right.
That might be what you're doing, so I would watch that. You could start the face closed and not even know what a square club face looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could start the face square, shut it going back, and then it's going to be left of the world as well. So I'm going to make you aware of what you're doing. So in my opinion, the fact is the ball's going left because the face is pointing left. Then we have to say, well, why is the face pointing left? Then I need to make you aware of what you're doing to make the face be pointed left. Then we're going to fix that. And if you don't buy into that, we can't go any further because the facts are the facts. The ball can't go left if the face is pointing right. Does that make sense?
Right, exactly. Yes,
so
that makes perfect sense.
So I'm going to make it very clear why the ball's doing what it's doing. Now, the other thing that I make very clear is the fact that people try to hit the ball and don't know how to swing the club. The only thing that touches the ball is the club. So when I make you aware of what you're doing with the club, you can then tell the ball what to do. But until that time, we can't go any further. So, yes, I'm going to do it very simply. And, yes, I agree with you that some people try to use big words and confuse the student to sound like they're a big shot, and that's ridiculous.
Right.
And I can't stand that. I'm like, who do you think you are? Your job is to make this student better and not try to confuse them. So, again, that's all I'm saying. I would say, do you understand why it's doing what it's doing? And if they say no, then I need to make them understand that fact.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you look at it from from medical professionals, for instance, one of the things that makes a doctor successful is getting to the root causes of whatever is ailing you. I mean, they obviously can see the symptoms in many cases, or you can tell them about the symptoms. But if they're not addressing the root cause as to why you're feeling that way and that, then they're never really going to be able to treat you successfully. And it's the same thing with golf.
It's a patch.
We can.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. It just becomes a patch. And obviously what I meant too by using a lot of the jargon out there, some people that have played golf a long time are maybe familiar with some words and things like that. But especially with today's society, with so much technology out there, if you're inundating the student with a lot of technical jargon, it becomes very cumbersome and very difficult for them, and you're not really addressing the issues at hand. You're just sort of showing your knowledge of the game, and ultimately they become frustrated and are more than likely either going to leave and go somewhere else, or may even drop out of the game completely if their frustration continues. What about things like humor when teaching golf? And I used this the last time when I talked to some of the guys on Coach's Corner. I'm not talking about, obviously, one thing you don't want to do, and I guess it depends on who you're teaching. You don't want to start getting into a bunch of dirty jokes and things like that or inappropriate dialogue. But sometimes I think if you can interject a little humor into the lesson, it can make it a little bit more fun and enjoyable. Do you agree with that, or is that something that really, it's great
No,
if it
absolutely.
happens,
Again, it also depends on your student. So
sure.
That goes back to who are you teaching and what's their behavior style. So I'm assessing the student immediately. Are they open or closed? Are they an introvert, an extrovert? Are they real organized? Do they want details? Do they just want, shut up, let's get to business, I want to get this fixed? Who am I teaching? And in my opinion, if all golf instructors focused on their students and they knew how to fix their flaws, this business would be a lot better and more people would play golf.
Yeah, I agree. And this brings me to really the next point here. We have to remember that everybody has an inherent fear of failure. We all have failed at something, many things in the course of our life, and that really can be utilized and become a learning experience. But I think if too much attention from the instructor's standpoint is paid on the negative aspects of that individual and not on any of the positive aspects, that fear of failure gets reinforced, and the student becomes, again, as I just pointed out earlier, becomes discouraged and less receptive to learning. What do you try to do? How do you try to find that balance? Obviously, you want to point out the things that he or she are doing incorrectly, but you don't want to inundate them so much with, God, Sally, you're just making a mess of things here, and that's why the ball's going all over the place. We really got to do a lot of work here to fix you up. But without really reinforcing it with any positives, that can be detrimental to making those changes as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think it depends on who you're teaching and how you teach. So some people only do hour lessons. And an example, an office visit for me is typically a half-hour lesson. And so in a half hour, I've got to give them one thing they can get because we need to be successful. On the other hand, if they're in for an hour lesson, we've got a little more time. And, Wednesday we go to boot camp where we're going to be with people for 4 days. So the first thing I say to them is, what are you looking for? What will you not leave here without getting? What do you want? And so that's what I'm doing. And if I don't do that, they aren't happy. So you have to be, figuring out, well, how much time do I have? How committed are they? So we start with an intro lesson. Somebody that I don't know, I say, well, come on in for a half an hour lesson and see if I help you. And it works. And if you like me and you want to work with me, and if you do, you can apply that money towards a package. And if you don't, you don't need to come back. And they go, oh, okay, well, I got nothing to lose except a half an hour. So my job is to give them one thing that they can really grasp and make sense and they can complete or do. And then we go from there. But, yeah, you got to have fun. You got to give them something they like. And it depends on what you're doing. So a lot of people only give hour lessons,
Right.
And I'm the 30-minute quick fix-it queen. So I've always been what?
No, I was going to say I agree with that wholeheartedly. You are, and I agree with you. I think, Cindy, that you have to, as a professional, you have to, there's nothing worse than somebody coming in for an hour and you're mixing up some elixir of things that they can do and not do, and at the end of the hour they really haven't taken away anything. And people, especially nowadays, people's time is very valuable. It's much different in today's teaching world than it was 20 and 30 years ago. So people don't want to come and feel like their time is being wasted and they're not getting value out of that lesson. So I agree, and you do a fantastic job. For those of you that don't know Cindy as well, go to cindymillergolf.com and just see some of the great things that she's doing. But yeah, you're exactly right, Cindy. And let me just point out, and this is a great opportunity to jump in our conversation, give you an opportunity to plug your Learn to Hit It kit, because that was specifically put together to give people an opportunity that maybe don't always have a lot of time to come and take lessons for a very economical fee. They can get a hold of that. So give that plug now, if you wouldn't mind, before we go further.
Okay. So I created a box basically called the Learn to Hit It kit, and included in the box is a small mat, very substantial small mat that will not flip around, 9 foam golf balls, my Golf 101 book, a coupon for 10% off a Callaway Club, and most importantly, a 10-module online course that teaches you how to hit it clean, airborne, and straight on purpose. And you can look at this thing, so you could go out in your backyard with your iPad and sit there and just hit balls. and learn how to hit it clean, airborne, and straight on purpose. So it's $99. Go to learntohitit.com. Even if you've played golf for a long time and you're topping it or hooking it or slicing it or shanking it, it's going to fix all the fundamentals. It gives you, how do I set up? How is the face square? Why does the ball go left? Why does the ball go right? And how to hit it, clean, airborne, and straight on purpose. So, again, I think, and I must say, the listeners can tell that I'm a high D personality, which is driven, direct, on a mission, let's do this, efficient. So I may scare some people, and I don't mean to do that, but everything I do needs to be efficient and quick, and let's do this, and here's the solution. Now, if you want to mull it over and talk, well, I don't know. Well, okay, but let's fix it. I don't really want to hear you whine. I want you to hit it better.
Right.
So, if you want to talk about why it's terrible, that's fine, but I don't want to hear it. Let's fix it.
Yeah. Right. And that raises an interesting point, Cindy. I think really from an instructor standpoint, we have to really truly understand the purpose of why we're here. It's not just about giving golf lessons. It's about really making changes in a positive way and doing it in a certainly not a fast, but a reasonable period of time, but being effective. And I think what happens a lot of times is, as instructors, we get caught up in the hyperbole, if you will, of the golf swing and the mechanics and all this kind of stuff. And we just get so, I don't like to use the word full of ourselves, but we just, like I said earlier, we're talking all this jargon and things like that, and students scratching their heads, and they're just not really, taking away anything. And I like the fact that of your approach is I would categorize you as passionate about what you do. You want the student to learn. You want them to take away whatever issues may be addressed and help them with those issues. And you're passionate about it. So yeah, some people and it can be aggressive about it, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. And that may, to some people looking at that, saying, "Wow, boy, she's really into this." But that's good. You want somebody like that on the other end. You don't want somebody that's sort of laid back and too easygoing either on the instruction side, because then they're not really addressing what you want them to do. Right?
Well, and again, you have to, if you're the student, and that's mostly our listeners would be students, you almost need to interview the teacher or go watch the teacher teach to see, is that how I want them to interact with me? And you're right. I feel I am passionate about helping people. I feel called to do this. It's not like, oh, I'm just trying to give 10 lessons a week so I can pay the bills. It's like, no, that's not me. So you kind of want to watch their body language. I am into it. And so at the end of the day, I'm exhausted because I'm paying attention to you. I'm going to give you what you came for because that's the way I work. So you have to, as a student, sit back and say, do I want to work with this person? Here's an example. I went to the Flight Scope certification training at the PGA show. Right. And they brought in a club fitter. Now, I have been to club fitting a lot. Cindy Miller has tried to purchase yardage her whole life, okay? And I'm old. So I have gone a lot of different places to buy yardage. And I have been to club fitters who think they are the coolest people in the world, and it's all about them telling me what I don't do well.
Right.
I don't like that. So at this Flight Scope training, they brought in a guy who's a master club fitter, and he fits tour players. And he said in his little session of his workshop, I sit back and I listen to the player. I listen to what they're looking for, and I watch. And then I put all those multiples together to give them what they want. And I thought, wow, how special are you? So it just so happens last time we were at boot camp, I saw this guy. I said, hey, you're the guy that's the master club fitter. He goes, who are you? I scared him, right? And I said, can you fit me for my driver? I've got the wrong shaft in my driver. And he goes, well, I've got to go down to the Honda Classic. I'm really busy for the next 6 days. I go, well, I live in Buffalo. I said, but I'll be back in March. He said, well, here's my card. Email me. So I sent him an email. He goes, what's the shaft you're using? What's the flex? And what's your club head speed? So I gave him all those numbers, and I said, I'm an old lady, ... And I said to him, right. I refuse to quit. I'm not quite dead yet. The Legends Tour is having their first ever major championship in July, and then next year a senior U.S. Open. And if you could give me any extra yardage, you would help me defeat my personal demons, and I would love you forever. And he said, I have some things in mind, and I love a good challenge. And I sent him back a text, ditto, thumbs up. Now, see, that's the guy I want to work with. Why? Because he's paying attention to me.
Right.
And that's what we have to do with our students. Pay attention. And if you don't want to pay attention, then don't teach golf.
Yeah, that's well said. And I'm hoping that he's going to be able to, and I'm sure he will, because he's got the right formula. That's exactly right. I think as whatever you're teaching, whether it's golf or anything, I think you have to pay attention to the student. You can't lump everybody, and this is a mistake too that I think has happened over the years with some in the golf industry, is they've lumped every student into one golf swing or one theory or one mindset, and it just doesn't work. We're all uniquely different. Cindy Miller is different than Ted Odorico, and so on and so forth. And for me to try to play your game or vice versa is just not going to work. And we might have similarities, and there might be some things in common that we have, but we're uniquely different. Our size is different, our shape is different, our flexibilities are different. So there's a lot of factors involved there, and I think this is where the student really, as you pointed out earlier, Cindy, has to research the teacher profession a little bit, find out about what it is that sort of makes them tick. What's their philosophy? Why are they teaching? And actually, what? I've actually been in situations, as a teacher professional, and I don't necessarily announce that, but I'll go to another facility and I'll just sort of creep out on the range near where I see some lessons going on, and I'll just eavesdrop to hear what the conversation is between the teacher and the student. And then I'll kind of make some mental notes. I'll never approach them and say, hey, you're doing this wrong, or you shouldn't be doing this, but I'll use that as a learning experience for me. If I hear some things that I think are positive and encouraging, and hey, that might be something I might want to incorporate, or if I hear somebody on the teaching side that's not really engaging their students or really listening to their students, I'll also make a mental note of that. And I think that's important because that's one way that we can learn as well. Great discussion, Cindy, and I'm sure that this gentleman is going to be able to work some miracles with your golf game. I know you've got a great game as it is, but we can always use a little extra yardage and a little extra distance and so forth. So I'm sure that it'll work out well. Now, when is he going to get back here shortly?
Hopefully tomorrow at 1:40. He's going to be at Bay Hill, and I'm going to ask him if he'll be on the program with us. But again, back to the paying attention to the student. Our next guest. She's got some issues. If you don't pay attention to her, you're not going to be able to help her. We have to listen to our student, So, some people might tell her to give up and not play. Well, she's not going to do that. She's going to go find the teacher who's open-minded enough to find a way for her to play. And that's what our job is.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm so passionate.
Said.
I'm sorry. I just get fired.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, I love it. And that's one of the things I love about working with Cindy on the show. For those of you tuning in this morning, is that passion. That's what this industry really needs, and we need to look towards individuals like Cindy Miller, because not only does she bring a lot of experience about the game itself, but she brings a lot of passion as well. And as somebody that's been in the business for a long time, Cindy, you've seen and done a lot of things that have worked for you, and there's other things that you've seen that wouldn't work for you, and you make sure that you keep things balanced in your teaching, and it's very evident by listening to some of the students. We've had a few of them here over the last few years on the show, especially some of the youngsters, and you can hear it in their voice that they understand what it is that you're doing for them, and that's fantastic. All right, let's bring. I see that Gianna is ready to go here on the show. So let me just do a quick introduction here, and then we'll bring her on, Cindy. As I mentioned, we have a very special guest today, Gianna Rojas. She's known worldwide as the one-handed lady golfer and founder of the Adaptive Golfers. She was born in 1962 in Bath, Maine. Gianna has a challenge. She was born without fingers on her left hand, and her father being a Navy buff like me, and as in the case with many military families, relocated every few years. So at a very young age, Gianna had to learn how to build rapport with new friendships and with other kids rather quickly before they moved to their next station. And this sort of constant moving was especially difficult for her, being the new kid, and having only one hand often made her a target of bullying. She recalls one particular event where they actually trapped her in a locker at school for several hours, and it's really those types of events that she has never forgotten. But on the other hand, she's taken some of these negative challenges that she's been faced with, and this has helped mold her character and fueled her desire to be able to help those that are facing similar challenges like the ones that she has faced as a child. And as a result, as she points out, kindness came when a neighbor's recommendation. She became the March of Dimes poster child for the state of Florida from 1972 to 76. A child who needs a hand gets one when you give to the March of Dimes was the tagline at that particular time. So she's had some challenges, Cindy, but she's learned to overcome them, and now she speaks and really travels to help others. And we're going to talk to her about how she's used golf to overcome some of those challenges and how she's using it to help others out there as well. So, Cindy, let's welcome our very special guest, Gianna Rojas.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Ted and Cindy. I am honored, Cindy, number one, to be in the company of royalty. I understand. Well, hey, you just said that you're the 30-minute quick fix queen, so I bow down to the queen.
The witch. Thank you for joining us. I love the fact that you absolutely do not give up.
Oh, no, there's no keeping me down. No matter what challenges get thrown at me, I do find a way to adapt and overcome them, and it just fuels my passion even more when I get challenged.
Good. Right. I like that. And you and I could be BFFs.
There you go. I think we already are. Guilty by association.
I think so too. Yeah.
Well, and just a very quick, interesting note, one thing that I didn't mention in her travels and some of the many things that she has done, and she was involved in a national photo shoot in Florida where she had the opportunity to meet, of course, the late king of golf, Arnold Palmer, which is, I'm sure, was very big for you. I mean, Arnold, of course, has been a staple in golf for many, many decades, and for anybody, regardless of who they are, would certainly be honored to meet somebody of his caliber and just a great ambassador of the game. So I'm sure that was a very special time for you as well.
Well, I think maybe some of that might have rubbed off on me.
Well, that would be fantastic because, Arnold was certainly a legend of the game, not only in his abilities, but just as a kind, generous human being, and just was very giving, much like you have been as well. I want to talk, I touched on a little bit. I know that there's much more to your story, but maybe you could just give us just sort of an overview of some of the things that you faced, and then sort of tied in how you became involved in golf, what drew you to golf, and then we'll continue on with some of the things that you're doing to help really promote not just your cause, but the cause of many others that have similar challenges to you and other challenges, of course, how you're able to help them and be an inspiration. So just give us maybe an overview of some of your things growing up.
Well, I guess I'll start where you left off. I was born with no fingers on my left hand, and I always wondered, why did the higher powers, who supposedly are of loving nature, why would they put somebody like myself on earth with such a challenge. Like I said, I was born with no fingers on my left hand, and to make matters worse, I was also born into a military family. And as you know, the military families, it's rough on the families. We move around a lot. Every couple of years we moved. So the challenge of just being a new kid and earning my pecking order was enough, and then to have a challenge of being different, it was, to say the least. They have a word for it now. They call it bullying, but I was picked on. I was pushed down. They used to wait for me at, I remember at recess in the elementary school, they had this big concrete tube that we used to run back and forth through. And I remember sitting there and eating my snacks and my lunch in there just to kind of get away from all the picking and the name calling. They actually, in middle school, was a time when I did get pushed into a locker and was locked in for about 3 or 4 hours, which was terrifying. I still, every time, one thing that I can always tell people is that, you know, every time that you challenge someone with a disability, and you make fun of them and you pick on them, or you use them as a scapegoat, you know, a piece of our heart gets taken away every time, and that's something we always remember. So,
right.
Not to bring the mojo down, but it was a very tough situation to grow up. And it wasn't until of recent, where probably about 10 years ago, I'm married. I've been married for 31 years to a beautiful man, that we still like each other, which is great. But one of his passions was playing. I didn't want to be sitting at home. I didn't want to be sitting at home, as you know, that golfer's widow thing that they talk about. So I started hanging out with him at the driving range, and then I wanted to try to learn to swing a club a little bit, even if just to go to the driving range with him and hang out. I was looking for someone who could possibly teach someone who is got to learn to swing one-handed. And I met a challenge with that, because there really wasn't anyone out there that was teaching one-handed golf swings. So I took whatever I learned from, number one, from him. We kept trying, a lot of trial, a lot of error, to find out how I would even be able to hold the club and swing the club. Then I had some instruction from a couple of golf professionals. But again, I was literally just taking what they normally would teach someone who has two hands, a two-handed regular swing, and we were just adapting it. So probably about 5 years ago, it finally caught. But going back to my my time with the March of Dimes as a child, I did have the opportunity to meet Mr. Palmer, and actually was able to sit on his lap at a national March of Dimes photo shoot. And at that time, as an 8-year-old little girl sitting on Arnold Palmer's lap, the furthest thing from my mind that I was going to be playing golf, much less I was going to be able to bring golf as a way to help people improve the quality of their lives, to get them out of bed, to get them out of the head, and get them out on the golf course, to help people with different abilities. I don't like to use the word disabilities. I always use the word different abilities, because we're able. We just do it differently. We just have to adapt. So it was, like I said, it was a lot of trial and error. Then all of a sudden it clicked. And I was able to go out and start playing with him out on the golf course. We started getting out on vacation. We would make sure that we would book in some golf time. And now I actually am not too shabby. I broke 100 once, which I'm kind of proud of. I haven't gotten back there yet, but you know, I swing. I hit the ball straight. I don't hit it far, which is good because I don't lose a lot of golf balls. I can usually hit it far enough, and I could still see the golf ball. While my husband's out looking for his 300-yard shot out in the woods, I have a ball in play. I don't really worry about my golf card. My joke is I don't keep a handicap. I have one. but it's to me it's not about my scorecard. It's about being able to be included. It's about being out there socializing. It's about being out in the fresh air. It's the health benefits and the mental benefits that golf brings that are more important to me. So I play to the best of my potential, and I don't really worry about what everybody else is doing. And it's for me, it helps clear your head. You leave, the ball doesn't care and the hole doesn't care if you roll it with your nose and how many strokes it takes to get there. As long as you enjoy your path and your journey to get to that hole and to the next hole and you get your way around, I mean, there's nothing else like it. It brings a sense of peace. And it's a place where I can go, and now I have used what those names used to be. And the kids used to call me all these different names. I've decided to use that as my brand. Why not hop out in front of it? Because it's the same thing. One-handed lady golfer is usually what people are whispering when they see me at the driving range and the golf course anyways. So I've turned that into my brand.
And you've done a great job of it. Yeah, Gianna, you shared a story with me on the phone. Gianna and I, of course, have talked a couple times on the phone in preparation for today, and Gianna is going to be joining me in a couple of weeks with a number of other individuals from all over, really, but in a couple of weeks on my Thursday night program, Golf Talk Live. But you shared a story with me on the phone that I thought was very, very inspirational and really epitomizes the point that you want to make today is you talked about a young girl who, through your journey, if you will, thus far, who also struggles with some challenges, what that interaction did for her and how it changed her perspective of herself, and you've done that very well. Explain a little bit. You know what I'm referring to, and you'll do, I'm sure, a better job of setting it up than me. But share that story with us. I think it's important.
Well, I also am a inspirational, motivational speaker. I go out to golf expos and any place, corporate offices, where I can talk a little bit about my story, and hopefully someone who hears it will feel inspired out of it. I was doing a golf expo up at Saratoga Springs, and I had the news. I always have media that comes around. I wind up getting quite a bit of press when I go out to do things, and I try to set that up ahead of time. So I met with this news director that came in, and they followed me around for a couple of days, did some video, took me in, had some interviews. They put together a wonderful piece that they aired. And when they were airing it, a mother and this young girl who was 13 years old were sitting and watching the news. Now, I was still at the golf expo, and this woman comes over and picks me up and hugs me and says, "Oh my goodness, you are so inspirational." She said, "My 13-year-old daughter was born with less of her arm, I guess, up above the elbow, is where her limbs stopped." And she said that my daughter is always very recluse. She doesn't put herself out there. She stays inside. She doesn't have a lot of friends. So she's always home, and she lacks in a lot of self-confidence. And at a 13-year-old girl, I remember that feeling because I was that 13-year-old girl, and I got picked on still even through high school. So she said that the little young girl looked over to her mother after this was the news was over and said, "Mom, do you think if that lady can play golf, do you think maybe I can learn?" So that next morning when the mother came to me, I introduced her to a gentleman who is a adaptive golf fitter. He takes golf clubs and adapts them so that people can swing out of a wheelchair. He'll shorten them. He'll do whatever he can to try to help that person be able to have the tools they need to swing. Then I introduced her to the rehabilitative clinic that was a little bit further around from the convention center and got her daughter included in the clinics. So now this young 13-year-old girl who doesn't think she's going to get picked for the team she doesn't have to care if she gets picked for the team anymore, because you know what? She's going to go out and do her thing, and hopefully she'll carry on the passion and the inspiration that I've been able to give to her, and she can carry that on and hopefully inspire other children her age to get out and get above whatever their adversity is and whatever their challenges are, and just go out and play a little golf. You don't have to get all the way out to the golf course. Maybe it's just going to the clinics if that's all your potential is. But it gets you out. It gets you out and socializing. It gets you to feel part of what everybody else is doing. So the self-confidence and the dignity that can get built out of that is just priceless. I mean, I cry I get goosebumps every time I tell that story, and I have many other stories where every day that I'm going out and doing this, I'm meeting more and more people that I'm actually able to inspire to say, you know what, if she can do it, well, maybe I can do it. And once that in the brain clicks from I can't do this to maybe I can, a whole other world opens up to them.
Absolutely,
yeah,
and giving them hope.
Yeah, and that was a great story that you shared with me, and I'm glad that you were able to share it with the audience. The other thing that I wanted to do, and I know you may not necessarily have the information directly, but maybe you can give us just an overview again, is just kind of the numbers of how many people there are here just in the state. We talked about this, and it's actually staggering how many people fit into this category, and yet really the industry itself, the golf industry, really has an opportunity to reach out to this community and say, hey, we want you to come and enjoy the game as well, and we'll talk about that a little bit after a while. But can you just give an idea of some of the numbers?
Certainly. Well, there's about 37 million individuals with disabilities in the United States, and that's based upon, I did some research with the Census Bureau. It's only up to 2014 is the numbers that they had. So it was a 5-year survey, and of those 37 million, only 10% of them are actually playing some sort of adaptive golf. And those numbers actually came from the Clemson University survey that they did. 22% of them are not playing, but they did at one time. They probably haven't received the message that they can yet. Of those,
what does that mean? What does that mean? Receive the message that they can?
Because they're probably in their minds. All right, so if they once played, maybe these are service veterans personnel that have gone over and had some sort of either a mental challenge with PTS. We don't like to use the D part, and or have a loss of limbs, or have had spinal injuries, or have had some catastrophic trauma to their body that maybe they're paralyzed. They may be sitting wherever they may be, whether it's in a VA hospital or whether it's at home, and in their mind they've got that I can't anymore in their head.
Okay, so they don't believe yet.
So they don't, or they may not even aware that they may be able to.
Okay.
Some of those can also include children who maybe the parents aren't aware that their child that has a challenge can get out and do some of these things. And there are people out there like myself and a number of organizations that I've associated myself with that can help bring the child, especially when it comes to children. It's staggering, the numbers that people aren't really aware how many people that have challenges in the United States alone, not even on a global level. And in some countries, those numbers are even more staggering. I did, because we're on Women of Golf, I did do a little further research and found some female numbers. Of those 37,000 or 37 million in the United States, about 19,682,000 of those are women, are female. And of those, maybe only 12% of those are out actually out playing golf. Again, these are some numbers that I've compiled between the United States Census Bureau and with Clemson University. So we've got a lot of people to talk to.
Yeah, we
people
sure
do. Individuals with disabilities represent about $214 billion of disposable income. So the golf industry needs to kind of take a good look at this new demographic of people. It may be not new in a total way, but for instance, there's the PGA of America has their program through PGA Reach. They have PGA Hope. PGA Hope is helping our patriots everywhere. One of the reasons why I started Adaptive Golfers is because I don't fit into some of these categories, and no one is talking to me, the golfer.
Wow.
So it's something that inspired me to say, hey, when I was out there trying to learn to play golf, there was no one out there to teach me. I couldn't walk up to a professional and say, okay, show me how to swing one-handed. I want to learn to play golf.
Right.
They haven't been exposed to it. Maybe they've had a few the word I'm trying to look for, training. Maybe they have a couple of training exercises, that you're trying to make your dominant arm stronger. So you may have a couple of drills that you do one-handed, but it's not teaching someone to play golf that only has one hand. I'm only swinging. I have an arm. I just don't have the fingers on my left hand. My arm is shorter than my right arm. So for me to put both hands on the club or both arms connected to the club, I'm not square on my shoulder, so I will never hit it straight. So it was, like I said, it was a lot of trial and error. But what my mission is, part of my mission is really to get out and, number one, bring awareness and say, hey, you know what, no matter what your challenge is, we have a group down in Beaufort Hospital, which is the Adaptive Golf Association. This is a physical therapist who is at the Beaufort Hospital, and he takes kids out of the hospital, in their hospital bed, out into the yard. They have a little makeshift driving range set up out there for clinics, and they get these kids hitting golf balls from their bed.
Wow.
So
God bless them.
The amazing mental benefits of being able to just realize, wow, I can, no matter what, we will find a way. If you in your heart have a passion to do something, you'll find a way to do it. It's just getting rid of that I can't click in the head and say, oh, well, maybe I can. And that comes not only just from people with challenges, whether it's a cognitive, a physical, a sensory. There's health and age-related challenges as well. So
absolutely,
I'm hoping that this helps bring awareness enough for the industry itself to say, maybe there should be, not every golf professional is going to want to teach somebody with a challenge, but at least during their training to become a golf professional, it should be at least touched on.
Yeah.
So that they're aware that it is. Because there are some golf professionals that I have spoke with that are completely jaw-dropped because they're like, wow, we didn't even know about, we didn't know people like this could go out and do this. You guys had Anthony Netto, another associate of our group, our tribe, I like to call it, and he was talking about being able to bring people out of a wheelchair that have no use of their legs or don't have legs, and bringing them to a standing position in these paramobiles, and they're able to swing and hit a golf ball. So the health benefits of, first of all, you're in a sedentary position. I know that Anthony touched on this, so I won't go too deeply into it. But it's so important because it's not just about the golf. It's about bringing the dignity to somebody that is usually sitting down, talking to people, and people are talking down to them. Now they can stand up and look eye to eye and have a conversation with somebody. There was a gentleman who went away to Afghanistan who was engaged before he left, and he wanted to stand up at the altar and marry his wife. And when he came back, he had no legs. And he was telling his wife, well, you know what, maybe we shouldn't get married. I don't want to burden you. I don't want to have you take care of me for the rest of your life. And bang, we put him in a paramobile. He stands up, he gets married, looking his wife into the eyes, and he's got his dignity back, he's got his independence back, and he's out playing golf.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I had
Tell us about
just to clarify.
your adaptive. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, I was just going to. I just wanted to clarify. So, let me just do it real quick. Anthony Netto was actually on, I believe, last Thursday on Golf Talk Live. He wasn't on this particular program. We may get him in the future, but he was on the Golf Talk Live program, and it was very inspirational. But sorry, Cindy, go ahead.
Tell us about your Adaptive Golf Summit in Myrtle Beach.
If we have time, I'll try to make a short version. I see we only got a few minutes left. The Adaptive Golf Summit is where I brought together a lot of these different organizations. I brought a gentleman by the name of David Windsor up. He's a PGA teaching professional. He's also the 2015 Patriot Award, Teaching Patriot Award winner from the PGA. He came up and we ran a workshop at the PGA Tour Superstore. We invited the golf professionals, the physical therapists, and the rehabilitative specialists to come to the PGA store for a workshop kind of class where we reviewed all the different adaptive challenges that people may have, talked a little bit about how to be able to
I think we just lost her. I think her phone dropped.
Boy.
Yeah, we'll see if she can come on here in the next second or two. Yeah, she dropped her call, I guess. But yeah, the reason I wanted to point that out is I didn't want people to get confused that Anthony was not on this program. He was on the other show that I do Thursday nights. But and he was talking about that paramobile that she was. I'll just continue this until she comes back on. But and he was also very quickly he was talking about that there is a long drive challenge with those that have the same sort of challenges that Anthony had. And I'm not sure if it was him or somebody in the group that he's involved with that actually, again, had no use of their lower body. They were in a standing up with one of these paramobiles and hit a 305-yard drive straight in this long drive challenge. So, yeah, so for those of you that maybe don't realize, that you can get out there and with some help and the right training and the right approach to things, as Cindy and I were talking about earlier, there's no excuse, because if these men and women who have some of these challenges like Gianna and Anthony and many of the others, the literally 37 million out there, there's no excuse for you that maybe don't have those types of challenges. So again, there's no excuse for that, but it's just one of the reasons I really wanted to really have Gianna come on here and share her story. Obviously, she's becoming tied into golf, but she was also, and I'll mention this as well, through her. Actually, here, let me just bring her back on.
Hello.
Hi,
there.
Gianna.
Sorry, I have no idea. I was still connected, but I heard busy signal on your side.
That's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead and just finish off your thought there.
Basically, we were able to also invite the community to come in and bring us their challenges so that we could we could use the teaching that we just passed down to the PGA professionals and let them be able to have students to be able to teach on. So we had a couple of people come down and a couple of very good success stories, which I know we don't have much time for. So
right.
It's amazing. We'll be doing it again. We're going to be doing it in New Jersey, and we'll also be doing it down in Myrtle Beach again, probably in the fall.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Since we only have a moment left, Gianna, on this particular show, maybe you can just direct the folks that want to learn more about that to your website, and they can get more information if they want to reach out to you and learn more. Maybe somebody that's listening to the show has either themselves or maybe knows somebody that's presented with some of the challenges that you've mentioned here today, that they can go and learn how they can get involved, and not just with golf, but maybe how they can get involved and help others that have similar challenges to what they may have. So just, if you wouldn't mind, direct them to your website.
Oh, absolutely. If you go to www.adaptivegolfers.com, and you can get all your information. There's a place in there where people can leave their information and their questions so that we can try to address and help point them to the right resources. You can also give me a call at 973-632-1321, and we'll make sure that we get a little bit of information and get you to the right resources that you need. So again, that's www.adaptivegolfers.org.
Perfect. Well, Gianna,
Awesome.
we want to thank you very much, and I know you're going to be joining me in a few weeks' time, on March 30th, I believe, on Golf Talk Live with some other guests as well, and we're going to get into a little bit more in-depth conversation, but we really wanted to give you an opportunity to come on our show and just sort of lay the groundwork, because it is an important area, and as you pointed out earlier, there are literally millions of people across just the United States alone that have some of the challenges that you have and other challenges, and you're trying to really draw awareness to this and let them know that some of the benefits that you've received by adopting, golf as a way of really helping therapeutically, obviously, but also to be able to re-engage with your husband and so forth in areas that maybe some may feel they may not be able to because of the challenges they're facing. So you're truly an inspiration. We want to thank you for joining us this morning, and continued success.
Well, it was my honor, both Cindy and Ted. I appreciate your giving me the opportunity to share this. And for anyone out there, just let us know what your challenge is, and we will definitely help you get out there and start swinging.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Very good. Well, thank you, Gianna. We have to let you go, but we appreciate it, and I'll be in touch, and I look forward to having you come on Golf Talk Live in a few weeks.
All right, wonderful. Everybody have a wonderful day.
You too.
All right, thank you, Gianna. All right, bye-bye. All right, that was our very special guest, Gianna Rojas, known worldwide as the one-handed lady golfer, and also the founder of Adaptive Golfers. You can go to www.adaptivegolfers.org and learn more, as she said, about some of the great ways that you can reach out within your community to help those that maybe have some challenges out there. And as she eloquently pointed out, golf is for everybody, regardless of what your challenges may be. And there's no excuse for you not to be able to get out and play. And on behalf of Cindy Miller and I'm Ted Odorico, and we appreciate you joining us every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern time here on the Women of Golf, and we look forward to you joining us next week with another great guest and some interesting discussion. So, again, on behalf of Cindy and I, thank you for joining us this morning. Cindy, as always, you are the queen, if you will, of golf, as John has said.
Yes.
So I humbly bow to you, and much continued success to you. And I'll see you as well next week here on the Women of Golf. God bless everybody and have a great week. Bye, Cindy.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.